has come up so many times. You know, when we did this originally in the mouse, and we were seeing these phenomenal targeting and killing, we were doing water only. We were doing calorie restriction, but a 40% calorie restriction in the mouse, we were saying, wow, look at all this effect, 40%. The mouse's basal metabolic rate is 7 times faster than that of a human. So I was saying, well, what does a 40% calorie restriction in a mouse represent to a human? And then we did this, and we were kind of surprised, and we said, God, it's water only fasting because of the difference in basal metabolic rate. So in order to get the benefits that we see in this poor mouse, we have to do water only fasting. And we match the glucose ketone ratios in the blood of the human and the mouse. So the 40% calorie restricted mouse, don't forget, if you take food, mouse doesn't live but more than 5 or 6 days at the most without food. You know, that terrible tragedy in Northern Ireland with Bobby Sands and the Mays prison camp there. I know it's highly political thing, but those poor folk, those guys died of starvation, and they were without food for up to 75 to 85 days, and none of them, those young Irish guys, none of them were obese. They were fit young men. And you can see, but Cahill fasted some guy. Actually, there was Angus Barberry from Scotland fasted 1 year with water only. He was like 400 or 500 pounds, and he went a whole year without, because he stored all that energy is stored. Also, fat stores vitamins, bone store minerals. I mean, your body is quite efficient at storing energy, minerals, macro and micronutrients. So again, you become much fit and healthier when you can bring your body back into a state of metabolic homeostasis. Oh no, very important, because Cahill and others have shown that when you start to see nitrogen rise in your blood, see, the water only fasting is therapeutic up to a point, and then it enters into the zone of what we call starvation, which is an extremely pathological state. So therapeutic fasting is where your body is regaining its health and strength and vitality. But if you push that too far, and it depends on the age, gender, body weight, mass, all of these things come into play to determine what becomes healthy and unhealthy. But I want to touch back on what you said about ketogenic diets and what diet, because this always is a tremendous point of confusion to a lot of people. And that's why we published and developed the Glucose Ketone Index calculator. It allows us to know when the ratio of glucose and ketones are approximately unity in the blood. So when we found that for cancer patients or people who just want to prevent cancer, if they can get a GKI of 2.0 or below with the Keto Mojo meter, you can buy the meter from Amazon. So all the cancer patients that are doing metabolic therapy all have their meters to know when they're in the state of metabolic nutritional ketosis, because people say, oh yeah, I haven't eaten this, I'm in keto. How do you know? Well, I pissed on this strip and it tells me I have ketones. And that's true, but it doesn't quantify the blood sugar and ketone ratio together. So we measure from the blood, the same drop of blood, you can measure ketones and your glucose and get a really good quantitative number. Once the patient, and you can do that on a ketogenic diet, carnivore diet, vegan diet, pescatarian diet, water only fasting, all of these things can bring you down to a low GKI. And people come to realize that, oh man, I can't, it's hard for me to get, if I'm eating these plants. Well, you might want to try to eat some meat and you'll see how fast you can get down there. So again, it depends on the person. So I don't want to, piss off vegans and carnivore people, and they get all angry when you say one thing or another. So I don't care what you eat. See if you can get Mediterranean diets. I mean, see if you can get your GKI down, and then you'll come to know, your body will come to know what you can do, what you should and should not eat. So again, it becomes ketogenic diet is just one way to get into the zone. But you can do it with other ways as well. But you have a quantitative measure to tell you when you're in that zone. When you're in that zone, that's when part of the metabolic therapy brings in the drugs that will target glutamine, because you can't really do that effectively with good diets. So, but you use the drugs very sparingly, and you have to know doses, timing, and scheduling. You have to be very cautious, because glutamine is an essential amino acid for the immune system, for the gut, for the urea cycle. So you can't go in there too aggressively. You really have to understand the biology of the problem and know how to play groups of cells off of each other. This makes it really exciting. Cancer becomes one of those diseases that there's so beautiful many ways to kill the damn thing without harming the rest of the body. This is the future, man. This is going to be the future. These guys are going to say, man, I can kill these tumor cells. Oh yeah, tell me how you did that. I'm going to show you. I tweak this at this time, and you're going to annihilate these tumor cells, and the patient's going to feel better when you're doing it. So this is the future. It's just that not enough people understand the biology of the problem to wield the power of these diet drug combos to wipe out these cancer cells.